Besides,
que
you
a
know
serpente de
dress or
Jade
dancing
guie você.
shoes. Cinderella, however,
A próxima
continued
é
to
na
beg
minha
for
conta.
permission to go till her stepmother said at last, "There, go
Que a serpente de
away
Jade
into the
guie
kitchen.
você.
I've just thrown a shovelful of linseed into the ashes. If you can pick these seeds all
Boas-vindas.
out and bring them to me in 2 hours."
Que as névoas
Shall go.
protejam você.
Away went the maiden through the back door into the garden and called out,
Para que a peça.
"Tame little pigeons, turtle
Saudações,
doves too.
caminhante.
If you don't help me, what shall
Que
I
as
do?
névoas protejam
Pick up
você.
the seeds, all the birds in the sky, for I cannot do it.
A próxima
Time
é
if
na
I
minha
try."
conta.
Then came flying in at the kitchen
Conte-me
windows
de
two
tuas
pretty
viagens.
white doves, and they were followed by all
Que a
the birds in
serpente
the
de
air,
Jade
twittering in a
guie você.
swarm, nodding their heads at Cinderella as they began to pick, and very quickly picked every seed from the
Para
ashes
que a
till the
peça.
shovel was full.
Saudações,
It was all
caminhante.
finished in 1 hour, and then the birds
Que as
spread their
névoas
wings and
protejam
flew
você.
away.
Para que a
Full
peça.
of joy, the maiden carried the shovel of seed to her stepmother, believing that now she was sure to go to the ball. But her stepmother said, "No, Cinderella, you have no dress, and you have not learned to dance. You would only be laughed at." Still, she cried and begged
Olá.
so hard to be allowed to go that her stepmother, to keep her quiet, threw 2 shovelfuls of linseed in the ashes this time, and told her she should go if she picked all these out in 2 hours.
Que sabedoria
She
você
could never
puxa.
do that in time, thought the cruel woman, as Cinderella
Conte-me
ran
de
away
suas
to the kitchen.
viagens.
But the maiden went again into the garden and called the birds,
Fique de olho se-
"Little tame pigeons, turtle doves too, if you don't help me, what shall I do? Come pick up the seeds, all the birds in the sky, for I cannot do it in time if I try." Then the birds all came, as before, and in less than an hour every seed was picked out and laid in the shovels. As soon as they had flown away, Cinderella carried the shovels of seed to her stepmother, quite expecting now to go to the ball with her stepsisters. But she said again, "It is of no use to fret, Cinderella. You have no dress, you cannot dance, and were you to go, it
Qual
would be
é
a
a
disgrace to
situação?
us all." Then she turned her back
Fique
on
de
the poor
olhos
girl
bem
and hastened
abertos.
away
Nós
with her
somos
2
os
proud
vigias
daughters
na
to the
muralha.
ball. There was
Nós
no one at
somos
home
os
now but
vigias
Cinderella,
na
so she
muralha.
went out to her mother's grave and stood under the hazel tree.
Você
and
tem
cried,
minha atenção.
"Shake and shiver, little tree, with gold and silver cover me."
Disciplina é o
Then
único
the bird in
caminho.
the tree threw down a beautiful dress embroidered with gold and silver and a new pair of glittering golden slippers. In great haste she dressed herself in these beautiful clothes and went to the ball. When she entered the ballroom, looking so beautiful in her rich dress and slippers, her stepmother and sisters did not know her. Indeed, they took her for a foreign princess. The idea that it could be Cinderella never entered their heads. They supposed she was safe at home picking linseed from the ashes. The king's son took a great deal of notice of this unknown lady, and danced with her several times, till at last he would dance with no other, always saying, "This is my partner." So she danced all the evening till it was time to go home, and the prince said he would accompany her, for he wanted to discover where she lived. But she avoided him, and with one bound sprang into the pigeon house. The prince was quite astonished, but waited till nearly all the company had left, and then told his father that the strange lady was in the pigeon house. Could it be Cinderella? Thought the stepmother, who would not leave till the last. I must find out. So she advised the prince to send for workmen to pull down the pigeon house. This was soon done, but they found no one there. When the stepmother and her daughters reached home, they found Cinderella in her smutty dress, lying in the ashes and a dingy little lamp burning on the chimney piece. The truth was, Cinderella had slipped out from the back of the pigeon house even more quickly than she had jumped in, and had run to the hazel tree. Here she hastened to take off her beautiful clothes and lay them on the grave while she put on her kitchen clothes, and the bird came down and carried the
Eu
ball
preciso
dress away,
chegar mais perto.
while Cinderella went home to lie in the ashes. A short time after this, the king gave another ball, to which her parents and stepsisters were invited. As soon as they were gone, Cinderella went to the hazel tree and said, "Throw gold and silver over me." Then the bird threw down a far more elegant dress than the first. And when she entered the ballroom in her rich apparel, everyone was astonished at her great beauty. The king's son, who refused to dance till she came, took her hand and led her to her seat. and during the whole evening he would dance with no one else, always saying, "This is my partner." Again, when it was time to go, the prince wanted to accompany her and find out her home, but she managed to avoid him and rushed out into the garden of his palace, in which grew a beautiful tree loaded with pears. She climbed like a squirrel between the branches, and the prince could not find her anywhere. When his father came home, they even ordered the tree to be cut down, but it could be found among the branches. The stepmother, here, remembered Cinderella. When they returned home, there she was in her kitchen dress, lying among the ashes like usual. When they were looking for her, she had sprung down. The bird in the hazel tree had brought her kitchen clothes and taken away the ball dress. A third fete took place, to which the stepmother and her daughters were invited, and Cinderella again went to her mother's grave and said to the tree, "Shaken rustle, tree, throw gold and silver." Then the bird threw down a most magnificent dress, more glittering and elegant than ever, and the brightest pair of gilded slippers. When she appeared at the fete in this dress, everyone was astonished at her beauty. The prince danced only with her, and to every other proposal replied, "This is my partner." When the time came to leave, Cinderella wanted to go, and the prince wished to accompany her, but she darted away from him and vanished so quickly that he could not follow her. Now, the king's son had had recourse to stratagem in the hope of discovering the home of the lovely princess. He had ordered the steps of the castle to be strewed with pitch, so that as Cinderella hurried away, her left slipper stuck to the
Eu
steps.
preciso chegar mais
She
cedo.
was obliged to leave it behind. She picked it up. It was very small and elegant, and covered with gold. The next morning, he sent for one of his servants and said to him, "None other shall be my bride, the lady to whom that slipper belongs, and whose foot it shall fit." When the stepsisters heard of this proclamation from the prince, they were delighted, for they both had small feet. The messenger went with the slipper from house to house, and the young ladies who had been present at the ball tried to put it on, but it would fit none of them, and at last it came to the two sisters. The eldest tried it on first in another room, and her mother stood by. She could have worn it if her great toe had not been so large, so her mother offered her a knife and told her to cut it off. "When you are a queen," she said, "you will not want to use it too much." The maiden cut the toe off and forced on the slipper. In spite of the pain, the messenger led her to the palace. But on their road they had to pass the grave of Cinderella's mother. And the hazel sent two doves who cried, "That is not the right bride. The slipper is much too small. Blood is flowing inside, and she does not fit her at all." When the messenger examined the slipper and found it full of blood, they led her back and told the next sister to try.
Eu preciso de
He also
alvo.
went into another room with her mother and found that she could not get the slipper over her heel. "Cut a piece off," said her mother, offering her a knife. "When you are queen, you will not have to use your feet much." The maiden cut a piece off her heel and fitted on the slipper in spite of the pain, and then went to the prince. They also had to pass the grave of Cinderella's mother, in which the two doves sat and cried, "Go back, go back. There is blood in the shoe. The shoe is too small. That bride will not do." So the messenger examined the shoe and found the white stocking quite red with blood. He took the false bride back to the house. This time the king's son went with him. "Hast thou not another daughter?" asked the prince of Cinderella's father. "None," he said, "excepting the child of my first wife, the little Cinderella. She cannot possibly be a child." Sent for her,
Estou fora de alcance.
but the stepmother answered, "No,
Eu
cannot
preciso
let you
chegar
see
mais
her."
perto.
But the prince insisted that Cinderella should be sent for, so they called her to watch her. She made her appearance, she bowed to the prince, and offered her the golden shoe. She seated herself on a footstool,
Estou
took
fora
off
de
the
alcance.
silver shoe from her left foot, and slipped on the golden slipper that fitted her exactly. Then she lifted up her head and looked at the king. He recognized the beautiful maiden who had been at the ball and exclaimed, "That is the right bride!" The stepmother and her two daughters were in a dreadful rage and turned white with anger.